Hello, everyone. Now, I am an ordained minister and pastor, but I promise I won't preach as long as I do on Sunday mornings. I'm also from the Apollo Theater, where I'm used to standing in front of crowds, but I must tell you it's a little bit more aggressive at amateur night, because if you like what you hear at amateur night, what do? You cheer. But if you don't like what you hear, what do? Please, no booing tonight. No booing, no booing, no booing. It's a great honor and privilege to be here, and I want to talk about digital innovation. But before we talk about where we're going, I want to kind of take a blast from the past, and I want to review where we've been. So in order to do this, I want to play a little game, and I want to call it, How Many of You Remember? Okay? And so when I say, how many of you remember, and I say the thing, I want you to respond if you remember what I'm talking about. Now, this may date some of you. No offense. But if the shoe fits, wear it. All right, so you ready? How many of you remember when television used to go off the air? All right? None of this 24-hour television. You got to a point where you saw those bars, and the Star Spangled Banner began to play, and it was time to go to bed. All right? How many of you remember when the hottest phone was not the iPhone or the Android, but it was the Zach Morris phone? Anybody remember that? Yeah. There were no apps. There was just Zach Morris and Saved by the Bell. And, you know, everybody wanted the phone that he had. How many of you remember when you had to dial up to get on the internet? And America Online used to send these CDs, all right, so you could subscribe to their program. And, you know, believe it or not, before you got online, you had to actually hook up to a modem, and you had to type in a password, and you had to wait for the internet to come. It wasn't just always there. And on top of that, you couldn't talk on the phone at the same time that you were on the internet. Talk about progress. Why is that important? Because the generation that's coming up after us will not know what it's like for television to go off. They won't know what it's like, unless they watch reruns, to have a Zach Morris phone. They won't know what it's like to actually have to wait for internet to come up. For them, it's always there, and at high speeds and high definition. And so with that, it's important for us to note the progress that's happened in technology and digital, and to really think about where things are going. Now, I want to show you this next screenshot, because I think this represents where we are in today's culture. Anybody seen one of those signs? Free Wi-Fi. Those signs are exciting, just like when you go to an airport and you can find a place where you can charge your phone. High demand, okay? Now, I want to ask you a question. Where is this sign at? Is it at a cafe? Is it at a library? Folks, this sign was at a tire shop. I went to go get my oil changed, and I looked over, and the biggest sign in the lobby of this tire shop was a free Wi-Fi shop, a free Wi-Fi sign. And it made me ask the question, what kind of world do we live in that my local tire shop feels like they have to have free Wi-Fi there? We live in a world that is immensely digitally connected. And this connection has fundamentally changed the way we do life. All of our bills are paid online. Many of you can pay your bills from your cell phone. The way that we interact with people and connect with people is fundamentally changed based on the advancement of digital technology. We live in a society that is connected 24/7. In fact, how many of you sleep within arm's reach of your mobile phone? Okay? Now, some of the kids in the younger generation, they actually sleep with their phone under their pillow. We have to teach them not to do that. It's not safe. But we're connected 24/7. And you have to understand that the people who come into your buildings, the people who come into your theaters, the people who come into your organizations, they're connected 24/7. And it's hard for them to disconnect. So this should really go into our thought process in terms of how we build a live, interactive experience. At the Apollo Theater, believe it or not, 3 years ago, we actually punished people for being connected 24/7. Here's how it used to go. You come to the theater for a show. Most people will come on a Wednesday night for our amateur night show. Amateur night is cool because before there was American Idol, before there was Star Search, there was amateur night. In fact, we're celebrating 80 years this year of being a theater, which is really, really great. It's really, really cool. And you see that technology that you just used, clapping your hands? we use that technology as a means to decide who goes on to the next level, right? So by definition, we're an interactive show. It's an interaction between the audience and the person who's on stage and performing. And so people would come to the show about 3 years ago, and they sit in their seats, and they get ready for this live show. It's lots of fun. It's like a big party. And they would pull out their mobile devices, and immediately ushers would come and shine a light in their eyes and say, put that away. It's like you come to a show to engage, to have fun. But because we were entering into this society where everyone's always connected, they were immediately punished for a behavior that has become so routine for some of us. It's nothing for us to pull out our phones and to begin to interact and to engage in this digital space, even when we're in live moments. And so what we did at the Apollo was kind of cool because we understood that the digital landscape was changing. We also understood that these behaviors were going to persist. So here's what we decided to do. We decided that if people are going to use their phones in our theater, we want them to use their phones in our environment. So we developed a mobile app that we encourage them to download during the show. And I actually come on stage every Wednesday, and I tell people to take out their mobile phones and to interact with the show. And because we're very interactive and people share what they feel and what they think about what's happening on stage, they boo and they cheer, we get a lot of chat during the show with strong opinions about what's happening on the stage because it fits for our environment. It's all about engagement. And that was a way that we actually engage with the live audience in the moment, and people feel more connected. So what does this mean for you? I want each of you to think, especially if you're a decision maker, I want you to think about how much digital has impacted your personal life, how our personal lives are so deeply just swarmed and surrounded by digital interaction. And I want you to begin to think about what that means for the organization that you serve. What does it mean for the organization that you serve? What does it mean that if you look at this chart, now this isn't scientific at all, so please don't go back and try to measure this. This is just kind of a feel. I'm just trying to feel this one out, all right? I think the black represents how much digital is influencing our personal mindset, our personal life, right? And we can't go too far without feeling like digital has some impact on our lives through our mobile phones, through our email, through television, through apps, through everything that we engage with. There is this digital presence that we can't get away from, right? And it's personal. For us, our mobile phones are personal. Where's Team iPhone? Is Team iPhone in the building? Team iPhone? Okay, what about Team Android? Okay, don't get into a conversation about which one is better because it's very personal to people which phones they choose. Is Team BlackBerry here? Okay, there's still a few of you alive. Right, but it's a personal choice. We take these devices and they become personal, right? So digital has influenced our personal mindset. But here's the question on the table for those of us who are leading and serving in organizations that create live experiences. And for those of us who have businesses and we're entrepreneurs. For those of us who do community work and we lead churches and synagogues. The question is, how much is digital influencing our organizational mindset? How is it transforming the way we think about what we do and the services that we provide? And I'm telling you, this is more than just saying we need a new website. This is more than just saying we need to hire someone to do our social media. It's really getting back to the core of what does it mean to engage with people where they are. And I would challenge you to start thinking differently about digital, to start thinking about how it not only influences what we put on a website, but how it influences the programming itself. How can we begin to engage in the moment live with people while they're there because they're doing that everywhere else? And the big statement that I want you to walk away with is this. We have to stop thinking about digital last. We have to stop thinking about digital after the show has been created. We have to start thinking about digital in the infancy stages of what we're trying to produce. We have to start thinking about it before it is conceived, before it comes to the stage. We want to start asking those questions earlier in the process because it's more than just throwing up a section on the website. There's opportunity for us to engage with people where they are. So next time when you pick up your mobile device, when you check your email way more than you ought to, when you find yourself watching Netflix, when you find yourself paying a bill online, remember that digital is intensely personal for not only the people in the seats of your theater, but it is for you, and that should influence the way you do what you do. Thank you very much.